Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Sunday Politics live on Channels Television. I'm Hakeem right here in Abuja. Let's tell you about the successes of our troops who are currently fighting the terrorists who are troubling our nation. We understand that troops of the 6th Brigade in the Nigerian Army have neutralized 4 armed militia members and recovered weapons during a rapid and coordinated response to renewed communal violence in Usmanu village, Karim Lamido local government area of Taraba State. The operation followed credible intelligence indicating a resurgence of long-standing land dispute between the Shomer and Wurukun communities. The dispute escalated into armed clashes, resulting in the destruction of property, including the burning of houses. In response, a brigade immediately deployed forces to restore order and prevent further deterioration of the security situation. But we are understanding from the military, Brigadier, the Lieutenant Umar Muhammad, the Nigerian Army Public Relations, says that upon reaching the area, the troops came under fire from armed assailants emerging from the Fadama axis. A brief but fierce exchange ensued, during which the soldiers neutralized 4 of the attackers. And some of the area footage is what you're seeing in some of the fight by the Nigerian military against insurgents and terrorists troubling parts of the country. There's been some troubling the situation that we have seen over the past few days as the military and the federal government is trying to ensure that some of the insecurity situation that we're seeing is taking under control. So we've seen these security challenges deepened over the weekend as gunmen launched separate violent attacks in Kogi and Kwara State. In Kogi, armed bandits stormed the Cherubim and Seraphim Church in Ejiba, Yaba West, disrupting Sunday service and abducting a pastor and his wife. And in Kwara State, the Ojibara of Bayegan, Oba Kamilu Salami, was kidnapped by armed attackers in the Felodun local government area. The incidents have heightened fresh concern over community vulnerability and the escalating boldness of criminal groups across the country. But it's from the actions of President Bola Tinubu tonight that our conversation with my guest will begin. The president has forwarded a fresh list of ambassadorial nominees to the Senate for screening and confirmation. The latest appointments include 3 non-career individuals selected to strengthen Nigeria's diplomatic presence around the world. In a statement from the presidency, the nominees are described as professionals with the experience needed to represent Nigeria's interest in key global capitals. The selections, according to officials, align with the administration's foreign policy direction and the ongoing repositioning of Nigeria's external relations. But the announcement has drawn mixed reactions across the political landscape. Critics are questioning the criteria for the appointments and the regional distribution of the strength of those nominees, who are supposed to say the choices reflect competence and strategic balance. But if you see, there's some particularly very popular criticism coming. Some of those include the former INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, a very good former critic and now supporter of the Tinubu government, Mr. Reno Omokri, Mr. Femi Fani-Kaude. Those who are prominent on that list, also former governors on the list belonging to the G5. Let's get the conversation started. I'm being joined by someone who, you can describe him as someone who knows the ins and outs and the intricacies and some of the technicalities involved in being a diplomat, because he's worked in the public sector for a long time. He was a former special advisor to the president on political affairs. He was a former spokesperson of the Northern Elders Forum. Dr. Hakeem Ahmed is live for us on the program tonight. Thank you so much, Doc, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, Sherry. It's good to see you.
Thank you, sir. So I'm going to require from you to put on your academic cap in the analysis that we're going to, also as an elder and someone who has also been in the public sector, to also give us an understanding of some of the the intricacies in the critical decisions that the president have made in the past few days. First, you saw the ambassadorial nominations. First and foremost, you saw the likes of Mr. Oke, who was the former DG of the NIA, and some of those whose name came out in the latest list, the longer one. As someone who spent long years in the government cycle, what do you make of those decisions?
Well, first, let's start with the appointments in the first place, the nominations. Rather disappointingly, I'm not going to chair President Tinubu. I would say this is very late. These outgoing ambassadors are going to serve for maybe a little bit less than maybe a year and a half. The ambassadors serve for a term, and they're recalled, and they're sent back. We've raised the issue of ambassadors and appointment of ambassadors many times before, many. Unfortunately, the president didn't seem fit to appoint ambassadors until we had the current crisis that we have. So, unfortunately, my opinion is that this should have come a long time ago. But that's already a settled issue. There's another very sensitive point I want to make, without necessarily maligning anybody. There are a few of these nominees that require more rigorous scrutiny in terms of their backgrounds, integrity, records. I'm not going to say anything against any one of them because it's unfair. But I hope the president, having nominated them, the National Assembly would now do what it's supposed to do and do it well. They should scrutinize these individuals thoroughly. It's absolutely essential that government prioritizes personal integrity above everything else, above politics, above regionalism, above ethnicity. It's really important. So that serves as an example. Thirdly, the spread is worrying. I saw some statistics today that said there are about 9 of these career and non-career ambassadors from one region, the Southwest, the president's zone. And there's one zone with 3, some with 5 and 9. This is worrying. I think President Tinubu needs to be a little bit more sensitive to some of these criticisms. Merit is good, but in a country like Nigeria, it's not enough. You need to look at the numbers and find out and identify who is coming from where. Unfortunately, this is what we are in a country like Nigeria. People are bound to identify who is coming from where. These things are very important. He's already carrying a burden of investing in the Southwest in proportions that defy the idea of equity and fairness. Now you have 36 or 37 ambassadors, and about 9 of them are coming from one zone. Some are coming from, 3 are coming from another zone. These are worrying things. But thank God that the president has deemed it fit to send ambassadors out of the country. We've been globally absent entirely. And literally, we've been globally absent, we've been absent from the global space.
Let me, would you say we're absent in that sense? Because these are non-career ambassadors. These are literally political nominations. There are career ambassadors who are representing charge affairs, who take charge of each of and there's nobody who will say, oh, we have any of our outposts that are empty.
There would be.
But diplomatically, maybe there are lacunas in some of the positions that are not being filled over the last few years since this government came into.
My understanding is that we have more than 90 full-blown missions, each of which should have a head of mission, an ambassador of an ambassadorial standing. What the president has done is to nominate about 30-something of them. So we will still have huge numbers, huge parts of the world where we have no representation. Why the president never nominated them, never sent them to the National Assembly, never dispatched them, I don't know. But these are not just non-career ambassadors. The nominations include career officers. people who have spent their entire lives with the ambition of becoming an ambassador. They have matured, they have reached a point where they can become ambassadors. They could have been ambassadors 2 years ago, but there we are. That's what we're dealing with. Well, there's still, I think, a lot of work to be done. If the president still wants to send out some more people, he had better do it quickly.
All right. Would you say the 2-year wait was worth it?
No, at all.
It was unnecessary.
It was a disaster for them. I don't think he was waiting. I think
considering the quality of the people on that list, you'll be wondering why did we have to wait this long? Is that what is going through your mind?
No, it's not. I told you what is going on in my mind is why it took the president so long to send ambassadors out. It's a priority.
Recruitment is a very big deal. So, but when people come out with some result after a long wait, you sometimes sigh, and a sigh of relief to say, look, it was worth the wait. And that's why I'm asking whether or not the 2-year wait for this recruitment to happen. And there are those who will say, if this is what the president has been doing over the last 2 years, is it worth it?
You want me to tell you the truth? I haven't seen any earth-shaking name or any incredibly or any outstandingly good name. There are names of politicians, former public servants who served in security agencies. They are just nominees. There's nothing there. And I'm not, again, let me repeat this. This is not what you wait for 2 years to do. 2 years is a long time not to have representation at the global level.
Have there been any damage?
Absolutely.
Diplomatically, to the reputation and the governance structure of this country, diplomatically speaking?
Absolutely. Why do you think it was so easy for Trump to work to throw this fire and kerosene in our fire and everybody starts panicking? We never had an ambassador. This is the first. I was a permanent secretary in the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs for 2 years. I know what it is to have ambassadors in places.
What is the significance of an ambassador?
Oh, an ambassador is the representative of your president in your country. If you don't have an ambassador, the country where you have an embassy, you have staff who are working under an ambassador, virtually don't exist. There's a huge amount of activity and advantages you get by having an ambassador in place. He has access to places that nobody else has, unless it's him. Countries will look around and say, well, there is no ambassador. And the ambassador is the political head. He is the representative of the president in that country. And when the host country wants to talk to Nigeria, for instance, they reach out for your ambassador. When they don't have an ambassador, all of the rest of the people are literally sitting on their hands.
So in foreign affairs-wise, the Tinubu government has failed in that regard.
Absolutely. And he had no reason to.
Could there be, because there are those who are on the inside who says, the cost of maintaining our outposts and our commissions abroad is just so huge, and trying to pay and run it, the running of overhead and the logistics of getting the ambassadors. Well, some of the reasons, is that justified?
No, the missions are there, the staff are there, everybody is there except for the ambassadors.
Politically speaking, you advise the presidency on politics, because this is usually a political matter.
When I was there, we whispered many times. We whispered, couldn't understand why the president wouldn't say. 2 days. The list, we understood there were about 2 or 3 different lists. Or they worked over the lists, and it was there for approval.
Is it the rigor of getting people, because this is not just any political position. It has to be a balance of political balance, academic balance, because you need to have a level of understanding and knowledge to be able to fill that kind of position. An ambassadorial position is not just a piece of cake.
Look, you have people to do all that for you. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is excellent. It's one of the best ministries we've had. It's thoroughly professional, never been polluted. It's a very small ministry, run by people, foreign service people and security people. They can do that for you. The political arm of the people who advise you will give you names of people that are spread across the country. They will meet the standards of quality, equity, and propriety. It's a very simple thing. It used to be the first priority of presidents to send out ambassadors.
But there are people around the president who should have advised him to tell him the implication.
Look, let's just say on this particular issue, the president failed this country tremendously. He should have sent out ambassadors, not just because of the kind of damage that just happened in the U.S., but there were many countries where a lot of benefits would have accrued to us if we had people of ambassadorial status in place. We missed those opportunities. Now, these ones are going there very late. They will have a lot of catching up to do. By the time they catch up, President Tinubu will be campaigning for his second term.
I mean, if we had had an ambassador in the U.S., for example, with that tag and the appellation of CPC, would they have even come up in any first
It may have. When Trump first categorized as a CPC, we had an ambassador. But it's a process. It's a long process. The classification of a country as a country of particular concern is a long process. They would begin by saying, we would categorize you, but there is so many steps to go. If you had an ambassador in place, he has officers who are trained, who have the competence and the skills to actually smell something. We are being watched. We are in trouble. And he is communicating with this country. So even lobby groups, look, most countries, if you are in the US, outside your own mission, you also, in many instances, engage special lobbying firms. A huge army of lobbying firms exists simply to open doors for you, in addition to your own people. So being in the US, it's a very, very important thing.
And I imagine that those who are on the instance and some information that some of us are getting is that the tag as CPC is being fueled by Nigerians who have been in Washington and campaigning about what they feel very badly about in Nigeria. And so if that kind of campaign against Nigeria in Washington has been happening over the last few months, an ambassadorial chair could have kicked in and doused that tension.
Absolutely.
Could he?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you had an ambassador, it would get to a point where the ambassador himself will exercise his own initiative. He can reach those same places where these people knock on the door and say, we are being killed because of our faith. He has intelligence officers. He has people who have been in that country for many years, who understand the political terrain, who is who and who is not. Those are advantages that you will get if you had someone. But we never had an ambassador.
But let's look at it. Let's analyze on the basis of the merit. Are you scandalized by any name on that list?
I think it would be improper to say. I began by saying, I think a few of those names need to be thoroughly scrutinized. There have been allegations against some of them. These have not been disproved. Some of them were in the courts. I would just say that it will serve the national interest. It would do justice to President Tinubu's campaign against corruption. It will do the missions they're sending them to great advantage if some names on that list are scrutinized thoroughly. And I don't think it is fair to mention names here. But there will be questions around some of them.
But would you say this is a merit list or this is a political payment for some people?
Okay, let's break it down into two. There are the career officers. I don't know them very well. Maybe when I was there in the 90s, maybe they were just recruits. But generally speaking, the career officers rise through the ranks. They get to a point where they are now appointable. They would have served 2 or 3 terms in other countries before they become ambassador material. Generally, it's difficult to take away the merit. There is national spread like everything else in this country. The non-career officers is largely political. They bring in political considerations. I've seen critics of the president who certainly are on that list. And my initial instinct, I'll be honest with you, was I thought President Tinubu is sending out all his critics outside the country to be ambassadors. And I hope I will not see my name in this. Because when I was in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they had to designate me as an ambassador in situ because they would not even the ambassadors of other countries in this country would talk to me at all as permanent secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs unless I was an ambassador. They announced my appointment in the morning. The president, it was President Wasanjo in I think 2006 or 2007, he had to appoint me an ambassador in situ. And for the entire period I was there, I was called an ambassador. I had the designation of ambassador. There are still ambassadors in situ, people who have never been heads of missions, but they give them from that time. But the point is, political appointees are basically political heads of diplomatic missions. They do the same work as others. It's not too much damage done because a lot of them don't understand what running missions is about, what heading policies, but they have excellent staff under them who do work. Now, the sad thing about it is that these guys have been working, but the link between them and the countries they live in, the political level there, has been missing. You have to have an ambassador or a commissioner or a political head overseeing in a country, overseeing another country. If you don't have that, you're absent.
Are you surprised by any name of? Interestingly, you being a lot of people who perhaps don't know deeply what your profile is. You've been a permanent secretary. You've been a chief of staff to a former Senate president. You've been at INEC. You've been in the presidency, so you know what this interplace will be. Are you surprised by Professor Mahmoud Yakubu's name on that list?
Yes, but let me qualify that. I don't know if Professor Yakubu has been consulted, and if he had said yes. I think he might have been. I think the world of Professor Yakubu. I think he's one of the most intelligent, one of the most hardworking, one of the most committed people. We were in the university together. He was actually my student, a student in my class in Sokoto. And I've never known him to be anything but the best. I don't know whether he had been contacted and he said yes. 3-4 months after I leave the chairmanship of INEC, I would like to be an ambassador. I don't know. But there are,
I'm talking about the proprietary of it. This is just someone who, there are a lot of those who are discontent about the 2023 elections and who will say, the person who will superintend your election as president, how will it be interpreted? Because in law, there are a lot of times, even when you deliver justice, they say it has to be seen to be. When you would have done it, but the perception of it is what some people are talking about. And it's not quite the only one. There are people who have raised eyebrow and criticized. Those people who Reno Makri's name have come up, Femi Fanikade's name have come up. There are those who belong to the G5 former governors who worked for this government when they were governors and who are no longer governors. So there are a lot of people who are political and wives of former allies, and those who have raised eyebrows. Right? Those who are also saying, would you rather appoint your enemies or those who come from space?
Let me just speak about Yakubu. My hope is, I hope Professor Mahmoud Yakubu was consulted. I hope he has given this thorough thinking, and I hope he's not making a mistake. Because everything he did while he was in INEC and everything he will do for the rest of his life is going to be defined by what he did for his 2 terms in INEC. That is an absolutely clear issue. So again, I don't think the president is going to nominate somebody who hasn't said, yes, I will accept, because that would be too risky. There are a few people I was surprised too. I'm not sure I would look at them with the same eye. And now, with being an ambassador where They've sent you out of the country. We used to say that you send out political appointees to be ambassadors because you want to get rid of them. They become a problem for you. So you send them out. And there have been 1 or 2 politicians who were sent out and literally neutralized because of the ambassadorial position. You literally cease to be relevant, because if you're a politician and a promising one, you want to stay with your people. In 4 years. Now, in 2 years, there are people on that list who would change identity entirely, and I'm not sure they will recover from being an ambassador.
From being outside of the political mainstream.
Yes. Yeah. Because the truth is, okay, so you will bear the title of former ambassador, so. But what else is there? You'll be out for 1 year, 4 months, 1 year, 6 months. If President Tinubu comes back in 2027, he may reappoint them. If he doesn't come back, another president will recall you. Immediately he becomes president. That's the routine. Immediately. And then he will send his own people. And that's it. So
we need to go on a break now. There are critical countries that Nigeria needs to pay attention to. The United Kingdom,
yes,
the United States, China, and even our representation in the United Nations. I imagine, diplomatically speaking, we need to focus our attention on that. You see, candidates are worthy of those posts, isn't it?
Yes, 1 or 2. Again, let me emphasize this. If you're not good enough, there are people that are competent enough to put you through.
Yeah.
But your own knowledge, your own intelligence, your own integrity, and your ability to adjust quickly are vital. Look, President Buhari sent a former Supreme Court judge who was very ill as our ambassador to the U.S. He's dead now. May God have mercy on him. I mention this only because it's important to emphasize the fact that politics is a major input in terms of determining who you send out of the country. But if you send someone who is not terribly good, physically, mentally, or in terms of background, there are foreign service officers there who would say, sir, this is the way to go. And on the way. But being the political representative, if the representative of the president, it's a very, very important thing. And you don't just send anybody.
All right. Quickly, this appointment and this nomination, on this one, thumbs up or thumbs down, as far as appointments under this Tinubu government is concerned?
I think the spread is bad. The absence of some sensitivity to spread is bad. I've seen people there who, to be honest with you, have come so far into politics. I don't see what values they will add as ambassadors outside our country. He has left it too late. This too little, too late. I'm not too sure what they will do, and yet there are countries where we desperately need presence.
The presence, yeah.
You know, like you said, we need to be there now. Now.
Give me a moment, Dr. Hakeem Ahmed, but when we return, our attention may not longer be on these ambassadorial nominations. There are equally more important conversations around security, the disposition of the president, the Donald Trump dynamics into the whole mix, and perhaps how we can better handle our security situation. Pastor Tunde Bakare has been speaking about what he thinks could be the solution to Nigeria's insecurity. And my guest tonight will be weighing in on that. He's one of the leaders of the Northern Elders. I'll be back after this break, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. The insecurity situation in the country is concerning, and a lot of people are wondering, what is the way out? The president has made some consequential and very strong decisions, such as staying back from traveling to South Africa and Angola, and equally asking that protection to VIPs should be withdrawn so that they can focus on their normal daily routine policing work. Beyond all of that is also actions when he declared emergency on security. But there are those who are asking the questions, are those answering or solutions to some of the problems? But there are some people who are giving their opinions on how security situation could be solved. One of them is Pastor Tunde Bakare. Earlier today, he had a broadcast. Let me allow you or remind you of what he said earlier today.
Years of leadership failure to confront our nation's underlying crisis finally came to a head as the deteriorating state of our country drew the most despicable language ever used by a world leader to describe Africa's largest nation, with President Trump referring to Nigeria as a now disgraced country. The sudden intense flurry of activity from the Nigerian government following Donald Trump's threat only betrays the fact that before now, Nigerian leaders had buried their heads in the sand like ostriches, preoccupied with the politics of chaos and paying little attention to the real work of governance, until Donald Trump's insults jolted the sleeping giant. Nigeria's political class have been dancing on a hot stove. It's a stain on the Nigerian government that it took the threat of external intervention to rouse leaders to their responsibilities.
Pastor Tunde Bakare, a Lagos-based clergy. What do you make of the security situation? You heard what Pastor Tunde Bakare said.
And I agree with every word he said. Every word he
things
said.
are spiraling and spiking. And there are those who are inferring reasons for the spiral situation and the recent attacks that we are seeing in the country. But interestingly is the fact that a lot of Nigerians are also answering questions as to why this is happening at this time, the reasons for it, and perhaps there are more than meets the eye from all what we see.
First, I agree entirely with the pastor. Every word he made there is said. It took insults and abuses and threats from a president who is not exactly a shining example of leadership, even in America, to get our people to sit up. That is not only embarrassing, but it's alarming. And the trigger to do all these things that you're saying President Tinubu is doing had to come from outside the country. We spent years and years and years in saying, do something. Now, I don't know what declaring an emergency on security is. I swear to God, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we like the word declare a security emergency on this, declare an emergency on this. How do you declare a security on emergency? My understanding of security is that it is something you do 24/7, every minute of the day. It's one of the only two requirements of a state and leadership in our constitution. How do you declare an emergency?
What's the difference between security emergency and state of emergency?
I don't know. I don't know. That's why I'm saying when I first heard it, I thought they were taking a state of, even if state of emergency. How do you declare a state of emergency?
It's a constitutional decision if you're declaring a state of emergency. And there are procedural, there are procedures towards doing that.
If you declare a state of emergency, there is a breakdown of LODA. It's prescribed. The processes are there. There are legal steps that you have to do. This is called security. The president has declared a security emergency on our security. That's even more alarming. It's not just language. It just simply tells you that the president says, okay, I'm going to ask the military to recruit 20,000 men. Additionally, I'm going to engage another 20,000 policemen. I'm going to withdraw maybe 100,000 policemen from VIP duties. And we're going to do a number of things. So what else is new? What else is new? We've been running, the enemy has been winning this war. I'm sorry to use this language because it's not nice to say so. But
are they winning?
Well, are we winning? Are we defeating terrorism and insurgency and cultism and all these things?
Do you smell a rat, Dr. Baba Ahmed, that Trump said that if you look at the pattern and the event, and you see increasingly attacks on schools, on churches, on worshippers, it just went, things ballooned in the last 1.5 weeks. I mean, is this natural, do you think?
Well, I don't want to attribute connectivity without evidence, but I think a number of things are important here. President Trump says, what is that proverb about a witch crying in the night and the child dies in the morning? President Trump says, I'll come after you. Fix your country, or I'll come after you. Basically, that is what he said. I mean, with the insults and everything, like Pastor Tunde Bakari said, it's annoying. My generation, we get really, really, really hurt when we hear that kind of, because we remember how great a country we were. Nobody will look at Nigeria and call us. And remember, during Buhari's time, he called us, he addressed us as a part of an anatomy that you don't want to hear. That's what he called Nigeria and 1 or 2 other countries. Now he calls us that disgraced country. It took him, these threats, everybody knew it was just threats. But look at how we sat up.
With Donald Trump, do you think is a mere threat? Considering, you know what he said about another leader of another country just yesterday?
Yes, Venezuela.
He's asking him to resign.
Yes,
he's asking him to step down.
Yes.
He's asked similar threat thrown at other countries. You know what he said about Iran?
Yes.
And 2 days later, he had, in fact, there are those who said that he had already sent those missiles to their critical military infrastructure when he was saying good things about Iran.
So I think the position to adopt with Trump is to maintain a level head. That he doesn't like. He likes people to panic. He likes people to react against him in ways that that weakens your position. What we need to do is to be level-headed. We played into his hand. This is a great country, strong country, that has been retreating from killings and killings and killings for the last 10 to 12 or maybe 15 years. This is the honest truth. Our leadership has failed us. Everybody who has been in the position of leadership from 2010 has failed us. And they're failing us. And there's no evidence that we are winning this war. Now, one of the things that I suspect you would ask this question, because you've raised the issue about how do we look at, how do we deal with this insecurity? How do we reduce its impact in our lives? How do we make citizens more secure in their homes, on their farms, in their villages, on the roads? People say, don't negotiate. Don't concede anything to bandits and criminals. And yes, on the surface, that's exactly what we should do. But if you're going to accept that, you better stop it. You better have the means to actually either stop them from stealing people, or killing people, or robbing people, or raping women. You have the means. If you don't have it, then you have no right to demand.
What do you make of the capacity of President Bola Tinubu in another few months, he will be wanting to seek re-election?
I've said this before, and I'm sorry I'm going to have to say it again. When I left his administration, one of the things I said to many people was, I wish President Tinubu will not run again in 2027.
Why?
I think that first, he said his ambition was to be president. He had been president. So he has satisfied that ambition. He said, Emilio Con. I think that's
my turn.
Yes, it's his turn. And he has had his turn. He's been president for 4 years. If, inshallah, he gets to 2027. But I don't think he's run this country well. The Tinubu we used to know, the Tinubu who had all this hunger, who had all this fantastic intelligence for scheming, just hasn't shown that Tinubu. There isn't that fire. There isn't that sense of I must fix this. He's run an economy, not a country. He's running figures. Every day you hear we are saving more money, we are doing this. And today I saw a statement one of the strongest statements released from Vice President Atiku Abubakar's office, making some really profound allegations against the manner in which funds meant for security of pipelines are missing. You should read that. It really is mind-boggling. Yeah. And I hope the president's people would see that, sit down, read it, and respond to that. Because Nigerians will read that.
If you say that the president should not run in 2027, who should he yield the floor to?
He should find someone within his party, a younger person, a healthier person, a more focused person, and make him his candidate. He can. If he can run this government, get all these people out of the PDP to come and join him, he's amassed every power that he needs, but he's not running the country.
Politically speaking, is that plausible? Would you do the same if you were in his shoes?
Yes. If I don't have the physical capacity, the mental capacity, or
does
the
it look like he doesn't?
Well, look, the last 2 months, or at least let's go back to since this Trump thing, I didn't see a president who should respond to an emergency or a challenge in this manner, with this manner and the spirit that he should. I didn't see it. And it's not just on this issue. The truth is that Nigeria has deteriorated so badly that we cannot continue to run things as if they're normal.
Give me a moment, sir. We need to take another break. And when we return, I'll get a final word from Dr. Hakeem Ahmed. Thanks so much. Our final 60 seconds before we close the program with Dr. Hakeem Ahmed. Where do we go from here? And the conversation we couldn't have is those who think, or those who are saying that there is Christian genocide in Nigeria, the Trump intervention, and the security situation in our country. Where do we go from here?
I think our leadership needs to read the writing on the wall. Trump is a wake-up call. It took him, this is the good thing about him, the call. They need to put our entire security on the table. And I'm not sure that they have the capacity as we go. They need to involve more people. They need to look at the entire issue about what security involves, what we need. We need to overhaul a lot of things, a lot. The way we're going about it, just sacking a few generals, bringing in other people to take their place, recruiting a few people here, then it's not going to solve the problem. Crime and killing and the killing of spilling of blood has eaten so deeply. Every inch of Nigeria is unsafe now. Every inch, every ethnic group is involved. It's no more an issue about Kanuri or Fulani or Muslim or Christian. We are being swamped. This is the honest-to-God truth. And we cannot operate and get out of this with no thinking. This is really important.
Dr. Hakeem Ahmed, a former spokesperson of the Northern Elders Forum, who advised the president politically when he was appointed. Thank you so much indeed for time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much indeed. That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Hakeem. God bless Nigeria.